Good morning, students. So today we're gonna begin our next chapter of chemistry, chapter 2, that is acids, bases and salt. As the name suggests, this is about acids, bases and salt, and you all are aware of these names because you have learned about these topics in your previous classes. So moving ahead with the topic, we'll be learning about more things which you haven't learned in your previous classes about these. So acids are simple those compounds which when dissolved in water produces hydrogen ion or hydronium ion. So some of the examples of acid I will write here is like HCl and HNO3, H2SO4 and many more. So all these are acids, okay? And when we say about bases, it's NaOH, KOH and so on. So these all are bases. So the difference is acids have H ion in them and bases have hydroxide ion in them. So what is this hydrogen ion and hydroxide ion basically? So when this is a compound which we are calling as acid, when we'll dissolve this in water, so what will happen? It will dissociate into its ion, that is hydrogen ion and chlorine ion. Whenever we write any plus or negative sign on any element, it is called as ion. I hope you remember, which we have learned in class 9th. So since here is positive ion, so it is called as hydrogen ion and it is a chlorine ion. Hydrogen ion is formed positive because here hydrogen atom donates one electron to chlorine atom. That is why they combine each other. Now when it will be dissociated, it will be again releases into their original form, like hydrogen ion will be separated and chlorine ion will be separated, but it will only happen when we will dissolve in water. So whenever we dissolve any compound in water, if they releases this hydrogen ion, that means they are called as acids. If any compound does not dissociate into this hydrogen ion, that means they are not acids. For example, here HCl is mixed with water. It is break down into its ions, hydrogen ion and chlorine ion, and then further will dissolve again in water. It will form as hydronium ion, that is H2O plus, sorry, H3O plus. It's called hydronium ion because here H1 and H2, so it will be H3O, hydronium ion, and again chlorine will be released. So this is called as hydronium ion. So both of these represents acids. So if any substance which when dissolved in water releases hydrogen ion or hydronium ion is called as an acid. Coming towards bases, these are the bases. So when we dissolve them in water, they form hydroxide. That means it will form Na plus and then hydroxide ion will be released. So here it was plus, but here it is negative. That means hydroxide ion have positive charge, negative charge in them. Okay, hydroxide ion. So bases are those compound which when dissolved in water, they releases hydroxide ion. Same as in the case of KOH also, potassium hydroxide, potassium and hydroxide. So it will be also with the other metals as well. So here also if you will look, that means acids are always formed when hydrogen combines with a non-metal. Okay, all these things are non-metal, like nitrogen, oxygen are non-metals, like this sulfur, sulfate here is non-metal. But here this sodium is a metal, this potassium is a metal, and so on. The other compound as well will be always metals. So bases are formed when metals react with water, and acids are formed with nonmetals react with hydrogen. So by this, that means acids are the compound which dissolve hydrogen ion or hydronium ion when they are dissolved in water, and bases are the compounds which releases hydroxide ion when dissolved in water. So here is the simple definition of acids. Those substances which have hydrogen ion, so this H is called as hydrogen ion or hydronium ion in an aqueous solution. That means whenever we mix them in water, they will form as an aqueous solution, so they will be called as acids. That means example HCl, H2SO4, HNO3 and so on. Bases, those substances which give OH ion in an aqueous solution, that is NaOH, KOH and many other bases. In your book you have been given many examples of bases as well, like bases like calcium hydroxide CaOH whole twice is also a base, magnesium hydroxide is also a base, CaOH, calcium hydroxide, magnesium hydroxide. So whenever we mix any metal with water, it forms a base. Okay, so all the bases have hydroxide ion and all the acids have hydrogen ion or hydronium ion. So here is the general property of acids and bases, a quick differentiation between acids and bases which will be very helpful for you. Because acids are, these were the things which you have learned in the previous classes, but it's just a revision. Acids have sour taste, that means they are a little tangy on your tongue, sour taste. Bases have bitter taste, they are bitter in taste, but you can't taste the concentrated acids and bases. You can only taste the dilute acids or the organic acids. So acids are corrosive in nature, highly corrosive in nature. Bases are caustic in nature, that means they both are harmful. They corrode the substances of any metal or anything. If you will take acid on your hand will be burnt, so they are corrosive in nature. And bases are caustic in nature, they will also destroy the surface, but they are caustic in nature. So next is acid turns blue litmus red. This you have read in previous classes. So this litmus is an indicator. This is made with the help of a combination of algae and fungi. It's called as lichen, that is a family of Thallophyta. So when it is a purple color, but when mixed with acid, it turns the color to red. But bases turns the red litmus to blue color. This is a point to remember. Acid solution conduct electricity. Here both the bases and acids show the similar property, that means both of them will conduct the electricity because both of them have some ions in them. Because they have ions in them, they will form water as an electrolyte and then they will conduct the electric current. Acids have always pH lesser than 7. Now this pH we'll be learning ahead in the chapter. pH means the potential of hydrogen, that means what is the concentration of hydrogen. So if the concentration of hydrogen ion is high, that means it's more acidic. So pH value is a value which is from 0 to 14, and from 7, when we decrease the number, it comes in the lower pH, but the value is more acidic as we move from 7 to 1. But when we move from 7 towards 14, the value become more basic. So acids have always pH less than 7 and bases always have pH more than 7. Now the next indicator is methyl orange indicator. So methyl orange indicator gives red color in acidic solution. So acid always turn the solution red or in the other orange tone, so red color. And methyl orange indicator gives a yellow color in the case of bases. So indicators, we'll be learning more about indicators. So indicators are those things which are used to check or to detect or identify the acids or bases. So basically they are the kind of a dye which changes the color of the solution when acids or bases are mixed in it. So here are the few main indicators which are mentioned in your book, that is in your syllabus. They are litmus test, you have already studied in your previous classes. Then a new one is phenolphthalein indicator, it's phenolphthalein, and the other one is methyl orange, which we just have read. So indicators is a dye that changes color when it is put into an acid or a base. The three most common indicators are these three, that is litmus, phenolphthalein and methyl orange. So when this are mixed with acid, what happens? So litmus will always turn acid into red and bases into blue. Phenolphthalein will always turn, this is a thing which you have to remember, that phenolphthalein will convert acid as colorless. Phenolphthalein is already colorless in nature, but when mixed with acid it will not form any change. It is colorless and the acid will also be colorless. But in the case of bases, it will turn the base into slight pink color, but if you'll mix more of it, it will change the color to a pinkish or dark purplish. So pink color is for base and colorless for acid. Please remember these are very important, although they are easy but important. They always come in exam for any question, 1 marks or more than that. Now methyl orange is also an indicator. It gives a red color when mixed with acid, and it gives yellow color when it is mixed with base. Okay, the color could be yellow or slightly orangish depending upon the quantity of the concentration of base and the quantity of methyl indicator, orange indicator. So these three are the important indicators. Then coming to the olfactory indicators. Now olfactory, as the name suggests, is the indicator which we will not see from our eyes. Here these indicators are, we can see the change from our eyes, but these are the natural indicators. These are also natural indicators, but these are some kind of a natural indicators which are very common at our houses, and they will change the smell of these compounds. That is, those substances whose smell or odor means the smell itself, changes in acidic or basic solutions are called as olfactory indicators. Okay, now this is also an important definition. You should know this. What are olfactory indicators? So these are the substances which changes their smells or odor when they are mixed with acid or basic solutions. So when if we'll take any onion, okay, if we'll take some onion, we will finally chop some onion and we'll keep into a plastic bag. After that, we have to keep some thin strips of cotton cloth along. So when we will add a drop of acid on one strip and a drop of base on the other strip, and when we'll smell those strips, we'll find a difference because onion has a peculiar smell. So when we will smell the strip which is dipped in a basic solution, or which has been treated with a basic drop, that in that we won't smell any onion smell. But when we will use a strip which is being dipped in an acidic solution, we will smell that peculiar onion smell. That means acid cannot destroy the smell of onion, whereas bases can destroy the smell of onion. So the other olfactory, so onion here stands for an olfactory indicator. The other example is vanilla. If we'll take a vanilla extract, it has a very pleasant smell. Again, we'll do the same thing. We will put some basic solution on sodium hydroxide on to a strip which is having vanilla extract, and then we will put some hydrochloric acid on the another strip again which we have vanilla extract. Then we will see that when we smell the strip of vanilla which has been treated with sodium hydroxide, which is a base, the smell will be gone. We won't smell anything. But when we'll smell the strip of vanilla which is treated with HCl, we will smell the vanilla fragrance. That means the HCl is not able to destroy the fragrance or the smell of vanilla extract. This other one is clove. So clove also does the same thing. When we treat it with base, the smell will be gone, but when we will treat with acid, the smell will be there. So bases are able to abolish the smell of all these olfactory indicators, that is onion, clove and vanilla, whereas acids are not able to destroy the smell of these indicators. So these indicators are, example of these indicators are clove, onion and vanilla, because basic solution remove the strong smell of onion, vanilla and clove, whereas acid does not. So these are the olfactory indicators. So this is about all these indicators. Now coming towards next topic, where that is about strong acids and weak acids, or we can clearly study that acids can be of two types, that is organic acid or inorganic acid or mineral acid. Now, organic acids are those acids which are found in nature, which we don't have to make, which nature already makes it. Example, all the citrus fruits have the citric acid, or in the curd we have acid, it's called as lactic acid, or formic acid, oxalic acid, abscisic acid. There are a lot more of acids which occur in nature, which are made by nature. They are not very strong acids. They are a little corrosive but not harmful. So that means they have pH value of 4 or 5. So we can consume them like lemon juice and all. Okay. Even the acetic acid, that is we call as vinegar, is a common name. So all these are the organic acid like CH3, COOH, acetic acid, or formic acid, COOH. So these are the acids which are called as the organic acids. So organic acids are also called as weak acids. Okay, weak acids. But the inorganic acids or mineral acids, which are man-made, which does not occur in nature, which we make in the laboratory, they are strong acids like HCl, H2SO4, HNO3, and so on. So these are very, very corrosive acids having pH of 1 or 1.5 like that. So these are the strong acids which we don't consume. So we can consume these acids, but we can't consume these acids. Now what makes them weak and strong? Why do we call them weak acids and strong acids, or why do we call them like this? So why organic acids are weak acids, or why the mineral acids are strong acids? The reason is that any acid which is completely ionized in water. So in the starting of the chapter, I've told you acids are those compound in which forms H plus ion. So when the acids are dissolved in water, like example, you are having lemon juice in a bowl, and then in the next bowl you are having HCl, hydrochloric acid. Then if you'll dissolve that in water, and then you will check the concentration of H ion, they will be having very less concentration of H plus ion, whereas HCl will be having a more number of H plus ion. So the acidity or the strength of an acid depends upon the number of hydrogen ion or hydronium ion. So the strong acids have more content of hydrogen ion, whereas the weak acids or the organic acids have lesser number of hydrogen ion, so they release less hydrogen ion. Or we can also see that they does not completely dissociate into the hydrogen ion, because they do not completely dissociate. That is, an acid which is completely ionized in water and thus produces a large amount of hydrogen ion is called as a strong acid. That is, HCl completely ionized in water. That means when we'll dissolve HCl in water, all the hydrogen will be dissociated into its ion, releasing the more number of hydrogen ion, which makes it more acidic. Whereas in the weak acid, an acid which is partially ionized, that means it is not completely ionized, that means all the hydrogen ion will be not formed. That means it will be a partial. This arrow describes that all the hydrogen is converting into hydrogen ion, but here it's two arrows, reverse arrows also here. That means all the hydrogen ion are not converted into hydrogen ion. A few are again mixed with this, so it will not dissociate completely. An acid which is partially ionized in water and thus produces a small amount of hydrogen ions is called as a weak acid. That means it does not ionize completely but partially. They are called as weak acids. So all the acids which we can consume are called as weak acids, which does not release hydrogen ion completely but partially. And strong acids are very, very strong because they dissociate all the hydrogen ion completely. So how can we make, okay, these are the acids, but again you have heard a word about concentrated acids and dilute acids. So Dilute acids are those acids in which we mix water, and like HCl is a strong acid, but there will be a fixed number of hydrogen ion in HCl. Like we are having 10 ml, 2 ml of HCl, and we are dissolving it into 50 ml of water. That means the hydrogen ion concentration in 2 ml of HCl will be in a limited portion, and when we mix it into a huge amount of water, then the concentration of H plus ion will somehow decreases, making it a dilute acid. But again, if we'll mix 2 ml of hydrogen HCl into 4 ml of water, then in that liquid solution, the concentration of H plus ion will be very, very high, making it a concentrated acid. So next topic would be about acids do not show the acidic behavior when there is absence of water. Since we know that acids are called acids because when we dissolve any compound in water and they release hydrogen ion, only then we call them acids. So when acids are not dissolved in water or acids do not contain any water, they won't behave as an acid because they won't be able to release the hydronium ion or a hydrogen ion. So we can learn this by a little experiment. Like we will take 1 gram of sodium chloride into a boiling and clean dry test tube. Into it we'll add some sulfuric acid, but we have to make sure that we have to cover the mouth of the boiling test tube, and we'll make a little hole in the center. Into it we'll put a straw, and then a gas will come out. As soon as we'll add the sulfuric acid into NaCl solution, a gas will come out from that tube, and we'll bring a litmus paper in front of that tube. What we'll see that there won't be any change. First of all, the gas which comes out will be HCl gas, because when we react sodium chloride with sulfuric acid, it produces hydrogen chloride gas. That means HCl gas is produced, but that is gas. So when we bring HCl gas in front of low litmus strip, it won't change any color. That means there is no release of hydrogen ion. But when we'll wet that litmus paper, suddenly we'll see that the litmus paper, which is blue in color, will turn into red, because that moisture in the litmus paper, it will react with the HCl, dry HCl gas, producing hydrogen ion quickly. That means the hydrogen ion will turn the blue litmus into red. That means acids only show the acidic behavior when they are in presence of water, and they don't show their behavior of acid when there is absence of water. So again, dilute and concentrated acid, which we have explained you already. So this was an introduction to the chapter. In the next lecture, we'll be learning in detail about the reactions of acid with the other compound. As well, we'll be learning about base. Till then, study hard and stay safe, and don't forget to do your homework, because your homework is very important to mark the attendance.